And then you're like, oh, that's normal.
And then people see you and they're like, that's not normal. And you're like, oh. The office peeps popped me into a car, like all my luggage, and drove me back to where I started because that was the dorm building. Honestly, could have just left my stuff here.
I had to Google it. I had to translate from French to Spanish. And I was Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome back if you're new to my channel. My name is Moni. I'm recently studying abroad in France for about almost 4 years. I mostly share videos about my experience studying abroad. Today we have my first collab. This is a collab with Angie Social. If you're interested in studying abroad, this is the video for you. A little bit of a disclaimer, this video is going to be pretty long, so I will leave you all the timetables in the description box. Without further ado, let's head into the video.
What's up guys? So my name's Angie. I have my channel Angie Social. I'm an Australian student studying in South Korea at the moment. I am currently doing 6 months of Korean language, and then I will be hopefully transferring into my Taekwondo major.
Why are we studying abroad? Like, why did we decide to study in another country?
I decided to study abroad because I kind of felt like the things I was studying in Australia weren't really clicking to me. Like, I liked them and everything, but it just didn't feel like, you know, it was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life right now. So like I kind of did like, I'd say like half a degree, because like I kind of took like 6 months break every year because I just kind of was like, I don't want to study. But it was a very bad mental stage as well. So I was like, I don't think going to uni is going to help me when I'm like in a really bad mental state. So I didn't, you know, force myself to go if I wasn't committed to it. But like I was doing archaeology and social science and stuff like that, and it was really fun. But I always felt like I wanted to finish, you know, Taekwondo first before I moved on to doing other things in my life. So coming here and studying, you know, and trying to get a degree like a Bachelor of Taekwondo, it's a very good way of closing a chapter in my life, especially because I get to train and compete at the same time as studying. So it's like, yeah, it's a good trade-off in that sense. Just you live away from friends and family for 4 years.
Oh yeah, that's a long time. But so far it's been a good experience. Do you like it?
Yeah, it's been an amazing 3 months. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I've made some amazing friends here, made loads of memories. My channel's just full of like random misadventures and whatever. Like it's just full of random stuff that's happened so far. But yeah, like I'm really excited to see what's gonna follow on after Corona, because you know. So why did you start studying overseas?
So I have been living for almost 4 years in France. Like it's been a while, and it was luck, I'll say, because I wanted to study in the UK, but I know that it's very expensive to do so as a foreigner. So it was like just a dream. I knew that it was very hard for that to happen. I remember having this class at high school where our teacher asked us to make a list about different universities in Mexico. So I come from Mexico, so like in Mexico, in the city where I live, and abroad. So I enlisted a lot of universities in the UK, even though I knew that I could only go there if I participate in an exchange program. So that was like my goal. But then while we were talking, she suggested me like, why don't you apply to go to France? Like you're studying French, and now studying in France, it's easier than before. So I was like, I don't know, like France has never been like a country that I dreamed about like studying in. I was like, why France? Like I want to study psychology, and France, it's not like the country to study psychology. Like it's not very well known for that. Like if I wanted to study art or philosophy or something like related to art, then it would be great. But yeah, for psychology was like, I don't know. So I took her advice. I was like, the UK, it's not that far away. I could go there. And I know it's been 4 years and I haven't been there. So it's kind of funny though. But yeah, so I yeah, like my plans just didn't work out as I thought. But I remember that I applied, and I was just like, if I get accepted, I'll go. But I will not get mad if I do not get accepted. Then I remember that I received an email where it said like the University of Strasbourg, which is where I study, accepted you. And I was like, The fact of moving abroad and starting all over again, and I knew that whatever I did, like everyone that I met in Strasbourg would be because I met them and not because it was someone that my parents knew or friends of friends knew. So
Hmm.
that was very exciting. So I came mostly because I wanted to study in another language and I wanted to experience what it's like to live on your own. I think that you can learn a lot from that and grow as a person. It's a learning process and it's very fulfilling. So far, it's been good. It hasn't been perfect, but it has been fun.
That's the main thing. Hey, it's always a learning process, and there's a lot more to like happen as well. So,
You have to do everything on your own. Like,
oh yeah, you gotta learn to do so many
intro.
things by yourself. I honestly don't even know like what certain documents are. Like, I wouldn't say like I have the most oblivious, but there are things where I was like, what? What is this? We have to do this? I'm like, wow, I'm an adult now.
Yes, yes, there are things that you're like, what is that? Like, I don't know if it's similar in South Korea, but here in France, I don't know why. I think this is like a cultural thing. When you ask for a question and you ask a question, mostly they will look at you as if you're dumb. Like, how don't you know like what this document is? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't even know what that is in Spanish. Like, so
Yeah,
I have no clue.
honestly,
it's,
that
it's
happens so much.
and plus, if it's in a different language, it's just you have to learn a lot of things and words that you do not learn when you're studying the language. They're
Yeah,
just like very legal.
yeah. Some of the English translations aren't accurate, so I'm just stuck there looking at this piece of paper. I'm like, uh, I'm like, what is this? And then they sent me on a round trip like to all these different offices because they didn't tell me like there were certain things I didn't need to get like officialized or some things that needed to be officialized. Like they didn't tell me properly, so I just went to all these different places, and it was just mania because we couldn't communicate properly. They were like to me, "Look, once your Korean's better, you can work at the international office." I was like, I think that would
Wait,
help a lot of people.
yeah, because it's very confusing. Like when you're doing in your own language, it's confusing, and when you do it in another language, it's just like 100 times more confusing.
Yeah, like I'm confused as heck trying to translate English to like,
Korean.
Mandarin Cantonese to my parents, and I'm like trying to read English sometimes. I'm like, what is this in English? What is this?
And plus, I don't know if you have to translate documents from English to Korean.
I haven't had to do that yet because the office takes care of everything. But most of the other stuff I've had it sent to me in English already. So it's like
Okay.
in Korean, but then it's got like the English under it, so it's not too bad.
How did you apply to study in South Korea? Like, what did you have to do?
So funniest thing was I had to be friends with the coach first.
Oh, okay.
So I actually met him and his team a couple of years back in New Zealand when we were competing, and at the end we were all throwing like this massive party. Like all these countries were staying in the same like accommodation, so we all like had fun, we were all like chatting away, and then I was talking to one of his students about how like because at that stage I was in my first year of uni, so I was like 19 that year, and I was
Okay.
saying like, I didn't feel like I wanted to study very much here, like I just wanted to do taekwondo and everything, and then she went and told her coach that I wanted to study taekwondo, and then he comes and goes to me, he goes, hey, come Korea, I'll take care of you, and I'm like, oh yeah, cool, put it in the back of my head, and
You're
then
like, no.
yeah, I was just like, oh yeah, eventually, like I'll get there when I have the money and the time. And then
Yeah.
last year, I kind of decided I was like, nah, like stuff it, I'm gonna go. So my friend's already here, so I had to ask him to help me with some processes. He just told me send an email to our university, they'll send you information pack, and then I just had to fill in the information, and then they check to make sure everything's correct. Then they tell you which list of documents you need.
Okay.
After they check, that's my roommate. She's adorable. She's adorable. And then you just do like your bank transfer, so you pay for your tuition, you get the receipt, so then they can submit it to the government, then they send you these official documents that are like stamped and official by airmail. So I had to airmail some stuff to them, they had to send it back to me. The process took probably 2 months, and that was only because I did it like in December, which is during like Australia's kind of like take it slow month. So that's why it took 2 months. So we had all of that done. I had to renew my passport as well because I only had about 9 months left on it. So
Okay, yeah.
if you guys are looking to travel, you guys need, I think, at least 12 months, is
I
it?
think it's a year now. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's a
at least,
year.
yeah, at
Yeah.
least that much. So I had to get all of that done. There was all like that waiting, and then Yeah. The paperwork is pretty thick, actually. I think I've got one here. So we've got like, it's literally like all of that. Most of it's info though, but it's like the back pages, like that's all the stuff we have to fill in. But then you have to submit like 8 different documents as well. Because I'm an international student, I get like discount on my fees. But if I have anything that is like in my family heritage that is Korean in any way, I actually don't get the discount. So they had to like make sure. So I had to submit like family trees and stuff like that.
Oh,
I was
really?
like, yeah, and I was like, I don't really know anything past my grandmother, to be honest. Like, all I know is everyone's in China and Hong Kong. Like, I don't think anyone in my family is Korean. Just happened to look Korean apparently, so that's kind of it. Yeah, the process was really long.
But you applied directly to university.
Yes, that they basically directly linked me to the international office. Yeah, I'm gonna guess most universities that actually offer a international kind of exchange, kind of transfer course or situation, they most likely have an international office that will, be in English for the students to, interact with and get information. So yeah, because I think a lot of English speaking natives want to travel abroad and study now. Because I know a lot of people, like a lot of my friends, they all traveled to Japan to study for like 6 months to a year, and they finished that last year. So I know that they had to do a lot of in and out between their uni and the Japanese uni as well. So there was a lot of like paperwork and back and forth emails and lost in translation phrases,
Yeah.
stuff like that. It was, yeah, like I sometimes I still get confused when they're talking to me because I'm like, I have no idea what you just said, and it's like, yeah, it's just a bit confusing, but you get used to it. And once you start picking up the language, then like they start kind of putting the broken like language into their English as well. So
Okay.
it's a little bit easier to understand now, but my Korean's still not that great. Like I've been here 3 months, and I've been told my Australian accent's probably getting stronger by the 3 months as well. I'm doing the opposite right now.
I think the more you practice, the more you meet people that speak Korean, the more you'll get better at it.
Yeah, definitely. Like our classes are crazy. We do right now because I'm doing the 6 months in the language course. It's 4 hours every day, Monday to Friday, um, from 9 till 1, and then we just do straight language class.
You do 4 hours of language class?
Yep, a day.
Wow, that's a lot. And you do
Yeah.
like 5 days a week.
5 days a week. Yeah. But the thing is, sometimes I don't even rock up to like 2 hours. I've literally for 2 classes, I've actually rocked up to like the last 30 minutes because I was like, I can't bring myself to get out of bed. I was like, oh my God. And then like I forced myself out to get attendance at least. I was like, look, I'm going to attend the class. Last 30 minutes, I get my attendance. But it's really bad. Like I think it's just because like I end up getting really tired in this bracket because like, we started training and everything as well. And like I've just been like headless chicken running around. So I've just like crashed out in the last week. But other than that, like the fact that like I'm stuck in quarantine right now really helps. I don't have to leave my room for like 3 days.
So you get like to process information because there's a lot to take in, like moving out, meeting new people, just
Definitely.
like food, everything.
What was it like trying to apply to go to France though?
In France, it's different. That's why I was asking you if you applied directly to university, because for us, we don't do that. In France, they have different types of like schools. So they have the public school, which is universities, and they also have like these private sort of like, it's not a college, it's like they call it prepa. So it basically is a more expensive place to study in, and it's more prestigious, but it's very hard to get in. Like you have to go through a lot of filters. And I have a friend that actually did that, and I think she had like to do like 3 different tests and also like a debate and all of that. It's just very complex. But I applied for university, and we had to apply through an organism, an association called Campus France, and that exists all over the world. So I applied there, and they told me like, you need this, you need to fill this questionnaire, you need to give us these documents translated in French. So I think that was like easier because they are like in between the university and us. So if there's like a problem, they are the ones who get in charge of that. So I think in terms of that, it was easier. They actually have an online page, so they have all of the information about how to apply and all of that. If there's anyone that wants to come to study in France, and you can definitely study in English, but you have to check out like what do you want to study, because if you want to study psychology, you need to learn French and you need to have at least a level B2. But I know that I think for example for sociology, or I think it's anthropology, like what you were talking about, like that you studied before,
Yeah.
I think for that you need a C1. So you have to have a really good level of French. So it really depends. Like I think in economy you can do a master's degree in English. Like I've heard about that.
Yeah.
But it depends, because I know that for my field I need to speak French. Like I cannot just be here and speaking English, because then I will not understand a single thing.
So what is the like language certificate system that you guys have? Because our one's a little bit different, I think, compared to your one.
We use like the topic now, I think.
Yeah, so we do topic 1 to, is it up to 6 topic? Yeah, up to 6. And
Okay. So
then
it's like two, no? Like topic 1 and topic 2, and then the second one goes till level 6, I think.
yeah,
I'm
so it
not
goes
sure.
all the way up.
Yeah.
To
Okay.
get into my major, which is taekwondo, you need a level 2, which I
Okay.
need to sit in like a month's time, which is,
Okay.
yeah, it's actually stressful. Oh my god. I think there's an English version that they take as well for the Koreans to go out of the country and study overseas as well. Tough.
Oh, yeah, that's in English. Yeah, I think if I wanted to study abroad, I would have needed that one.
Yeah, our
For
friends
us,
study for that.
it's actually different. Like we have, you can do different exams, but the one that I did, it's called DELF. You can do that, or there's another exam. There's like a general exam. You have different questions of grammatic and all of that, and then they give you scored out of your answers. But the one that I did, it's a little bit harder, they say. Like they recommend you to do that one. Yeah, it's called DELF, and it's the level B2. So it goes from A1 till B2. Then for the higher levels of French, it's called DALF, but it's very similar. It's just that it's higher level, so it's only C1 and C2. But I did DELF B2, and they actually said, I don't know why, like it's very strange, because for me, like in between a B2 and a C1, I would think that a C1 is harder than a B2.
Oh.
But I talked with different French teachers of mine, and they all told me like, oh, B2 is way harder than C1. And I was like, what?
You're
Then
like,
like yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Like I've had friends that have friends that did like both exams, and they didn't get the B2, but they did get like the certificate for C1, which for me is just like it doesn't make sense.
yeah, that is so weird.
Yeah, that's just very strange. So in terms of that, I did the B2, and it was also a mess. Like I wasn't really prepared. I actually just ran an exchange program by that time. So I had my friend from Quebec. She arrived like I think like a month before that. So I was just like I had school, I had my friend from the exchange program, plus I have everything that I needed to do for high school. And it was just like I understand like what you might be going through, because there's a lot to take in. Yeah, you kind of have to think about a lot of things. So it's just like, oh, please, I need a pause.
Slows down though, that's the thing. Like I just
Yeah.
feel like it maybe like gets more bearable, but it doesn't slow down.
No, it
You
doesn't.
adapt to it. Like it's just going, and you just end up in there with them. Like
Yeah, you have to deal with it. You have to adapt. And then you're like, oh, that's normal.
and then people see you and they're like, that's not normal, and you're like, oh.
You need to do like twice as much than other people. I think if my parents lived here and if I was French, then I think things would be really different. But yeah, you have to do a lot of things like paperwork, and if there's something that you need to translate, that's like another world. Yeah, administration process is just like the worst. Once you get through that, it's pretty fun
Yeah, it's pretty easy after that.
yeah. Yeah, you're like, oh, studying abroad is the dream, but it does take a lot of work.
I know.
And
Honestly, the easiest part of studying abroad is the plane ride over and the plane ride home.
how long does it take for you to arrive home?
You can do a direct flight of 9 hours, right? But I did a stopover. I left Sydney at 9 o'clock, I think, at night. And then I landed in Taipei at like 4 a.m.
Okay.
And then I didn't have my flight until about 7 a.m. Then I landed in Korea at like 10 a.m.
Okay,
So
yeah.
Yeah, it was like a good 12-hour trip for me. But it
Yeah,
wasn't
that's
that bad. It was really fun. Just minus Taipei's airport looking like a hospital out of a horror movie. I'm like, I'm going down there where there's more light. I ain't sitting in this corridor. It was terrifying because there wasn't a lot of people. Not because of the time. It was also because it was when Corona was like vicious, I guess, like in Taipei and like in Korea. So on my way to Taipei, like it was a pretty packed flight. But on my way from Taipei to Korea, I had like 3 seats to myself. I was just like, wow, I can lounge. Yeah. I was like, only for a 3-hour flight though.
And did
Pretty
you
bad.
have like to quarantine when you arrived to South Korea?
Actually, no, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't get told to quarantine. Actually, yeah. They asked me if I had been anywhere else besides Australia, and I was like, no, I've just been in Sydney the whole time. And then they were like, okay, cool, you don't have to. And I was like, okay. But like, I kind of ended up self quarantining myself anyway because I was just like, well, I worked like crazy last year and up until I left. And then, so I basically just slept for like 2 weeks in my room anyway. I would literally just go out and buy food and then come back in. So that was pretty much me coming here. And oh, it was a mission. Because my universities, so I landed in Incheon Airport and then I had to catch a coach, like a bus, but it's like a very luxurious bus. It's really nice. It's a 2-hour bus ride from Incheon Airport to my city's bus stop, and then I had to catch a taxi to my uni. So yeah, it took probably, I'd say about 2.5 hours because I did have to wait for the bus and like the taxi driver didn't know where to drop me off, and I didn't know anything either because like I had no map, I had no cell phone range, like, it was just hell. Until I could find like public Wi-Fi, I called my friend who's been studying here for 2 years, but he went back home for the holidays, and he was waiting for New Zealand to allow people to come back to Korea because when he wanted to come back, they banned all flights, so he was stuck there for a while. So I was like, dude, what do I do? And then like he's like, just FaceTime me. So I had to like bring my phone around. I'm like, where am I? Like, what am I doing? And then he's like, okay, you see here, go this way, blah, blah. And I'm like, you want me to drag all my luggage with me, like for a 10-minute walk up these stairs? Like it was mania. It was horrible. And then after I went to the office peeps popped me into a car, like all my luggage, and drove me back to where I started.
Oh no.
Because that was the dorm building. The one big thing I've realized here is though, like the people don't touch things that aren't theirs. Like it is very weird. Like when we were doing like stair runs and like training outside, I was like, okay, should I bring a bag, just so like I can put my phone and my wallet and stuff in? My friend's like, no, don't worry about it. Like you just leave it there. And I was like, what do you mean just leave it on the bed? She goes, just do it. And I'm like, someone's going to steal it. He goes, no, the Koreans don't steal it. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, like it's very weird to me because in Sydney, like you don't leave your phone on the bench. We start there. No.
Even if you're next to it.
Probably like one of the bigger culture shocks. I'm like, wow.
I have Korean friends, but I've also friends that went to Korea just for an exchange program. And they were telling me that they were so surprised and they couldn't believe that people didn't steal their phones. So they said, like, we went to a coffee shop, we left our phones, we went to the bathroom just to see if it actually like was true.
Yeah.
And we came back and our phones were there. And I was like, wow, that's like, if you do that in France or if you do it in Mexico, you're for sure you won't find your phone.
Yeah.
Like, by anyone.
It's so weird. Like you do that in Japan and you'll definitely get it back as well. Like I wouldn't say about China though, like yeah. I can't say that about China. I know for a fact someone's gonna take it. But like Japan and Korea 100%, like they just leave it there. I've seen like videos on like Facebook and YouTube where people leave like drones and stuff like around and then they just film like for hours and hours and hours and like people don't do anything. They just walk by it and you're like, wow. Like and it's true now that I've seen it myself. And I've left my phone and wallet a couple of places. And my friend too. I have one friend who loses his wallet like daily when we're outside.
I actually had a friend, she was telling me that it might be because they have cameras and they will, like, if you steal something, the police will know who did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he was
Yeah.
telling me about that, and I was like, oh well, then it makes sense because here in France, you like, I don't think that would work. Like they actually for the coronavirus, I think they wanted to do something very similar to what they did in Korea.
Yeah.
That you have an app, and that you know if you were near someone that had the virus.
Yeah.
So yeah, they want to do that. And there's like a lot of controversy. There are people that are like, no, they want to steal our information, blah blah blah. So I think that if they did what they do in South Korea, there will be like a lot of controversy and people would make a revolution out of that. So yeah, it's very
It
different.
is, yeah, it is very, it's very weird. Even in the park, they've got like these cameras that like just stand there, and then like you literally watch it, and it just spins like
Oh
360
really?
all the way around. Just yeah, it just records the whole thing, and like it's just to keep the place safe. And
Yeah.
like it is pretty safe. Most of the kids just run around. I mean, most parents in Australia, like this is just from my area, I say. But if you go outside and run around and play, and then you don't make it home, it's kind of your fault, kind of thing. Like you
Yeah.
for yourself, kind of thing in Australia.
You
Well,
have
in
to be
my
aware.
area at least. Yeah, like my
Here,
parents used to be like, if you go outside and you get kidnapped, it's on you, bro.
here, I don't know. Like, I think it happens very, like, I know it happens in France, but it's like in comparison to Mexico, I've heard it less. And when you hear that someone was kidnapped, it's like all over the news. But
Yeah,
in Mexico, it's something that happens a lot. So there's a lot of people that disappear each day. So it's very hard, like, to know everyone that disappeared. And it's just a huge problem. But I know that here it's like, you know when someone disappears and it's not something very common. So
yeah,
yeah, it's very different, like how like cultural differences. It's just like for me it's just mind blowing. And sometimes I don't know if this has happened to you because you've recently moved to South Korea, but I've realized that I've adapted pretty well to France because when I go back to Mexico, it's just like I do things that I didn't do before, and that it's just so European. So my family tells me like, I think you're like now a French girl. Like you're like very well adapted to the culture.
sometimes like I'm calling my friends and they're like, you're forgetting your English, you're forgetting how to speak
Oh
like,
yeah,
like
yeah.
how they normally speak, like, the mannerism and stuff. And I'm like, oh no, oh no.
That happened to
Yeah.
me too. You forget words and then you translate in the wrong way. Like you
Oh my
translate
God, yeah.
from yeah.
My worst thing is the other day we were like like my friends and I were just walking around, and then we were talking about how different American and like Australian pronunciation is. So my friend started reciting, like just saying random letters and asking me, and I'm like, I might as well just like recite the alphabet and you just tell me whichever one's different. And he goes, okay. So I started reciting the alphabet. I got to H, I skipped everything and went to M straight away. And my
Oh
friend,
yeah.
he goes, excuse me. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, you missed H to M. I'm like, oh no. I
You're like, wait,
did
wait.
it a second time. Yes, I did it a second time. And then this time I went from H to K. So I skipped I and J basically like both times. And my friend's like, are you doing okay there? Like, are you sure you like, speak English? And I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah, that happens. Like when I came to France, I don't know. I didn't really think that that would be something that happened to me, but like it's something very common. Like something that I actually think is like very strange. Like not a lot of people do, but I did it anyways because I know that Latino, the Latino community, like the Mexican community in general, like in France, it's very big. So I didn't want to speak any Spanish. So of course I forgot a lot of words, and I remember when I came back to Mexico, I was like, wait, how do you say this? And I had the word in French. So I was like, in French you say this, but how do you say it in Spanish?
Oh
And they thought
God,
that I was kidding. Like they were like, you're kidding, right? Like it's your mother tongue. Like how could you
it
forget? I was like,
happened. Yeah.
yeah, it's been a while. Like I've spoken French for like a year, and of course I'm going to forget. So I was like, how do you say this? So I had to Google it. I had to translate from French to Spanish, and I was like, this is just like weird.
Yeah, it's so weird because sometimes I'm like mispronouncing words now. Like, so the Koreans have like certain words that don't have in their like actual vocabulary. So then they use like kind of, it's called Konglish basically. So it's
Oh
like
yeah.
English said in a Korean accent. Like, yeah, so a lot of the things I've been talking to my friends about, and then I start changing my accent somehow, like just subconsciously, right? And then they're like, dude, you're not saying computer anymore, you're saying computer. And
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh no. Yeah,
Like, oh, sorry. I've been
yeah.
so like,
And then I was like talking about like being on the phone and stuff, and I was like, oh, the other day I like misplaced my handphone, and they're like, what handphone? And I'm like, yeah, my handphone. And then they're like, you mean your phone? And I'm like, right, yeah, my phone. Because the Koreans call it handphone.
yeah, honeypot.
And I'm like, okay, I have a problem now, guys. I need to stop. But like, it's good and bad. Like, at least in getting embraced into the language in that sense. So
Yeah, like you know that you're kind of like adapting to your environment and everything.
yeah, because I went to Baskin and Robbins, and I was reading the menu, and like the single scoop, like it in English it's like single regular, and then I was reading the hangul next to it, and like it literally says sing single regular.
Oh, yeah, it's very similar to English. You're like, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just standing there, I'm just like laughing to myself. My friends, what is wrong with you? I'm like, it is literally English. And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, because Baskin and Robbins is an English, it's an American company. And I'm like, yeah, but wouldn't have they attempted to change it into actual
Yeah,
Korean?
to translate it. Yeah.
Yeah, and my friend's like, no. And I was like, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, good for you because then you like it's easier to
Yeah, even
adapt.
at Subway, it really helps when I go to Subway. Like, there's an egg sandwich here, and like, it literally says egg, is it egg mayo? Yeah, egg mayo, and then egg, egg, egg mayo, and then and then the Korean word for eggs is 계란? No, what's the Korean word for eggs again? No, but like when we go buy eggs. Yeah, I forgot. Like actual eggs. I'm pretty sure it's 계란. It happens so much. You don't like realize that a lot of it's literally just in English. It helps, but like it feels weird saying it in like a broken accent because like
Oh yeah, it messes with your
it
mind.
messes with me immensely. Because when I speak English, a lot of people are like, "Whoa!" Like they're just like it doesn't fit my face.
Oh yeah,
Apparently,
they look at you weird. Yeah.
people say this to me all the time because I used to work as a receptionist, and I'd be like, hi, this is so and so. Like, okay, no worries. I'll see you at 5 o'clock. They rock up at 5 o'clock, and they're like, oh, I have an appointment. I spoke to Angela, and I'm like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Angela, and they're like, oh, I thought you were white, and I'm like.
Well, I'm white.
I am very pale. Thank you for noticing. But and then I'm just looking at them, and they're like, it's a compliment, and I'm like, is it though? It's like me seeing a white person in China being like, damn, you speak exactly like the locals.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they think it's, I don't know, they think it's like a compliment, but it's just like,
You
yeah,
feel offended
yeah, like
because it's
I've gotten
another
it so much, it's just like meh at this point. But like, it's just funny how like people just like, oh yeah, take it as a compliment. And you're like, don't know about that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. And then when I speak Chinese, then people are like, wow, you don't have like, a whitewashed accent when you speak Chinese. I'm like, yeah, because English is my third language. Like, I learned Chinese before I learned English. Like,
So your mother tongue is Chinese,
um,
then
yeah, so my mother tongue is Mandarin, but then I learned
okay.
to speak Cantonese through my father's family when I lived in Hong Kong a little bit. And then we moved to Australia, and then I had to, learn Australian because my parents are like, we don't want to speak English, so you're going to translate all these official documents. And you're like,
Oh.
and then 7-year-old you is like looking at this thing. Like, my parents would be like, okay, you got to translate this. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, look, I can read you the words, but I have no idea what these words mean. And my parents are like,
Yeah.
like, what's the point in sending you to school, huh? What is
You're
the
like, this is tax information.
Yeah, and you're like, bro, I don't even know what taxes are. I'm like, I'm 7. If you ask me what a lollipop is, yeah, I'll tell you what a lollipop is, but I don't know what taxes
Yeah,
are.
but this too much.
Exactly. So like, it's just like PTSD from that. And the thing is, like, you talk to any Asian that grew up in like a Western country, they'll tell you the same. Like, their parents would have done the
Yeah.
same.
I remember watching a YouTube video and they were talking about that, and I was like, wow. Like I've heard about it also from Mexicans that live in the US.
Hmm.
So like their children they speak really good English and parents well, they didn't grow up like learning English, so they're like translate everything. But I know that's a little bit different. So
It's
like
the
I
same
have
pressure.
not experienced it. Yeah, but it's still like to translate a whole document is just like
Mm-mm.
even writing an essay, it's a lot of words.
Yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
like I think in Chinese and then I'm like, wait, what's the English word? Or like sometimes I just end up speaking to my dad in English because I've just given up trying to think the Chinese. Sometimes I'm just like, I'm too tired. I can't think Chinese right now. And then my dad's just like, you're Chinese, speak Chinese. And I'm like, we're in Australia, but you don't speak English. And like, I don't mean it in the way where it's like you have to speak English. I'm just poking
Yeah.
at him because he's, always poking at my brothers and I, like being like, oh, you guys don't speak enough Chinese at home. And I'm like, well, we're speaking to each other. We don't really need to speak in Chinese.
Oh yeah, like if you're, it's yeah. What's
And
easier?
sometimes the
Yeah.
things you talk about are a little bit illegal, so you don't want mum to understand because mum doesn't speak English at all. So
Oh, really?
if your brother's like, oh, I went out drinking last night, and you're like, cool, say it louder next to dad, I dare you.
Yeah. He will understand.
Dad would be like, what did you drink?
What do we do to deal with homesickness?
Um,
Yeah.
so in terms of homesickness, like I traveled a lot from 16 until now. I would, go overseas for like 3 weeks at a time, or I'd be out of state for a couple of days or weeks on end, like, for competitions and training and stuff like that. So I was pretty much like frequently on the go. For like one period of time, I was literally living out of my suitcase for 3 months because I went to the US for about 3.5 weeks, and then I came back, and then I did a week and a half in Canberra for training, and then I was home for like a week, and then but I was working at that time as well, so I was working for a week, and then I had to go to Europe for like 3 weeks after that. And then I came back, and then there were some other things that were happening, so I was just everywhere. So yeah, I'm pretty used to not seeing my family as much as well because we're always so busy. But I do miss my friends a lot. So we would regularly FaceTime, like as in group sessions or individually, like whoever has time will just FaceTime. We play a lot of games online together, like Scribbler, Cards Against Humanity, Uno online. Um,
Mhm.
just any online game that you can play together, we play them together. We watch movies together and just message like every day. We just send out a vibe check in the group chat, like, how's the vibe going at home, guys? How you all holding up? How's uni? Like just bits and pieces like that. And in a way, like my friends make it feel like I'm not like 8,000 kilometers away from them. But the only thing is like I obviously can't hug them, so it's kind of like hug deprived. My friends are also kind of like, don't do anything stupid. So I made a homesick video. They uploaded on my YouTube, and I was like, I miss my friends. They're probably going to kill me watching this, but God, I miss them. I think it was really fun doing it actually, because I got to go through like a lot of different memories and stuff. And
Mm.
there were a lot of things that like I kind of forgot that I actually did with my friends. Or, because we talk about certain events more often and frequently than others, just
Mm.
because, it's more like story worthy. Like when we filled one of my friends' bedrooms with tomatoes for his birthday.
Oh,
Yeah, well, not filled. We just put a lot of tomatoes in his room. So many.
okay. I was like, wow, that would be like a lot of tomatoes.
Poor guy was eating tomatoes for 3 months. That's how many tomatoes there were. But yeah, like just stuff like that. I found so many like different stories and photos and stuff, and I compiled it into like this one big video and just chucked it up. And I was like, look, if you guys miss me, watch this, and you can like see all the good times that we all had. And yeah, and then my friends are all like telling me how as soon as corona's lifted a bit more, that they're all going to come and visit me, because everyone gets government payment for staying in Australia except for me. So they're all like, we're pretty much ready to come, it's just depending when the borders are open.
Do you have like any information when it will open, or you're still like?
No,
Mm.
I'm waiting. I've got 2 pairs of shoes I need to like send back home because they're birthday presents that I bought for my like 2 best friends. I've been waiting like maybe 2 months now. About 2.5 months for the borders to
You
open for
cannot
this
send
year.
them like through mail, like.
Nah,
as
They
well.
said that we can send it by ship, but the thing is, I don't know how long it's going to take by ship
Yeah, maybe it'll arrive at the same time that
that I
you
come
said.
back. Yeah, literally, because I'm planning to go back in January to visit everyone and see peeps. So like, if yeah, seriously, if the borders just doesn't open and it's only shipping available, I'm just gonna have to carry them back with me.
Yeah, it's easier. And so you basically like just you used
Frequent.
every social media that you can
Oh,
just to keep a
definitely.
good friend.
You
Yeah.
know, make every account and like I know that everyone's busy, but the thing is like, you know, everyone will respond to you, even if, you know, different time zones and stuff like that. Even when I travel overseas to ones where it's like I wake up and they go to bed kind of time zones, when I was in Europe, that was kind of the case. But my friends still, you know, kept, you know, frequent contact with me like daily. Um, and this was when everyone had basically started uni as well. So everyone was like overloaded in classes.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted to do extra credits and stuff, you know, in the first 2 years. They were my friends. Extra credit. So yeah, for the fact like extra credit people can still message you daily and make sure you're fine and like message you every other hour. Like it at the end of the day, it's
Yeah.
up to your friends as well if they want to keep, you know, keep you in the loop. So I'm very blessed that my friends are uh how do you say it, like insanely inclusive that way. Like they're very chill people.
I think like when you study abroad, you know who your friends are.
Oh,
Because
100%. I'm
like
definitely, yeah.
I can see that because I had friends that we weren't that close before I came to France. We became like really, really good friends. And there were friends that I consider like my best friends, but we didn't talk like for a whole year. So for me, that was like, oh yeah, like I don't think that we are that close anyways. Like it's just for me, friendship, it's more than just going out with that person while you're in the same
It's the
city.
little things, definitely little things. There was a post on like Tumblr that I saw after graduating high school. It's like you kind of know who your real friends are once you stop seeing them 5 days a week.
Yes.
So I
Yeah,
was like,
definitely.
damn, that's very true. So because when I graduated high school, I had like 20 or 25 people in my friend group. And like we were pretty close for a while and then we all started splitting off. Right now, I'm friends with 6 of them. Like,
Yeah, you found the friends with your hands.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. And then some friends that I thought like, you know, were my friends, like I haven't spoken to them in months, like maybe 6 months. And like, you know, I invited them to like farewell parties or like just get-togethers before I left. They either like all declined because, you know, they made up kind of an excuse not to go. And you're like,
Mm.
that was an excuse. Like, you know, you can
Yeah.
tell
Yeah,
some
you know. You
if
can
you
tell, like, if they
nice and
care, they will make the effort. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So then, to me, like my farewell party was kind of like my little like gauge on who is willing to like make the trip out to like, you know, party it up and you know say goodbye and stuff like that. But it was really good. So I think like the best way to like deal with homesickness is before you leave, have a really good party. So then you
Yeah.
guys have like you know those memories and stuff like that, or even just take a trip with your friends, like you know, a camping trip or something. Just do some stuff with your friends,
Bond.
and oh, definitely bond. Like if you don't really bond with a person like heart to heart, I find that you lose that kind of friendship a lot easier.
Yeah.
So once you've bonded with someone like really close heart to heart, like it's almost impossible to lose them.
Yeah, I
That's
think
kind of
there has to be like something in common. Yeah. I
definitely.
think for me it was a little bit different. Like I'm close with my friends, but I'm not 24/7 on my phone. Like my friends and I, we are very used to having like very hectic lives, like doing a lot of things. So sometimes we do not answer the phone and we have 8 hours, no, 7 hours of difference. So yeah, it can be a little bit complicating in terms of that. So I remember when I arrived to France, like I'm not a very attached person like to my family or to my friends. Like we are very independent. Like I'm close to them, but as you were saying, like I'm used to traveling. I remember before I came to France, I did an exchange program in Quebec,
Mm,
so I was there for 3 months. But yeah, it's a different experience to live in the same place for longer,
mm,
and it wasn't easy to be far away from my friends and not being able to talk with them. Like if something happened and it was 3 in the morning in Mexico, I knew that they were not going to answer even if they wanted to.
yeah.
So I was like so excited to tell them something, and I was like, well, I'll text them, but they will like answer to me later, and then probably I'll be sleeping, and it's just like those little things of telling them the things in the moment. It's what I miss the most.
Yeah.
So I remember that I like the first year. It might be like sound like a little bit crazy, but for me it was more important to make friends than having like the highest grades, because I knew that I was alone, and I felt homesick, and I felt alone a lot of times. I actually don't have roomies, so I think that can be like because of that, because I live on my own. So most of the times I'm alone, and my friends from university, they went back to their homes, like to their villages. So I don't know why they do that, but yeah, it was crazy because on the weekends I wanted to go out. So I was like, I want to make like friends from here and just like to learn more about the culture and everything. And in the end, I have a lot of Asian friends. So, yeah, we party a lot.
Oh man,
But
that party.
like I'd say for me, what helped me deal with homesickness is to keep in contact with my family and friends, to make new friends that you have like common interests with, so that you can enjoy like your experience to the fullest. Like if they like to travel and you also like to travel, that's great, because then you're both foreign students, you're both have time to travel. So you both know what it's like to be alone. So you're like, I also want to go to the same place where you want to travel, so we can go together, and then you have new experiences and you create more memories. So I think that's like a cool thing. Like you just have to be open to change and to see what you can do to feel better. Like I think there's no recipe for that. You just have to listen to what you need, and then like try different things, and then you'll find one that works the best for you.
Yeah, definitely. Like I made a couple of friends here before I actually like, had my group. Like
Yeah.
and I think that like at first I was like forcing myself to be friends with some people because I was like, oh, I need friends. I really need friends here.
Yeah.
Like I need someone. And then afterwards, like I got really close with my roommate and then like her friend and then one of my friends, from my language class. So then the four of us would hang out a lot. And then my friend's roommate then finally returned because, it was online classes for a while. So, and he lives like 2 hours by bullet train away. That's how far he lives. Yeah, by bullet train, 2 hours.
Yeah, by bullet. Wow.
Yeah, so he finally came back and then we met and then so like now the five of us are like real tight, like we're real chill and like it's probably the best I've felt in a very long time as well because I felt like I don't have to like, force myself, pretend or anything like that, It was just like these people get me, they're here for the same thing, sort of. But like they're all international students minus the one guy. But like everyone's real chill and it's just great. Like quarantine bunch. We use Google Hangout and we just like watch movies and eat dinner together because none of us can leave. So it's just the best thing to do right now.
I think that's actually something really cool. Like quarantine has brought people together.
Oh yeah.
Like I also did the same thing with my friends, and I think if we were not in quarantine, it wouldn't have been possible. Like it can be really complicated to like find a time where we can meet and everything.
But definitely finding time to meet is hard. Like we try to go to my friend's hometown and then we realized that it was gonna be impossible because it's a 2-hour bullet train ride away, which cost about like 40,000 won, probably about $30 one way.
Okay, yeah.
I think because $1 is about like 1,200 won. So
Yeah,
I'm just gauging about 35 US dollars basically to there and back. Oh no, there and then you have to pay another 35 to come back.
So it's like 16. Or I mean,
So anywhere between 60 to about $70. That's just your plane. That's just your train ticket. And then like because it takes 2 hours to get there and back, you kind of like got to stay overnight and you got to like find all these things to do. Like you don't just take a 2-hour bullet train ride and then not do anything there. Like So we were like, this is not going to work out. We're just going to have to wait and see if this trip will actually happen. But it's because my schedule also conflicts a lot with their kind of thing because I train at night. And so I have training Monday to Friday nights at 6:30 till about 8:39. And then I have training Saturday mornings from 10 a.m. till whenever they want to finish. generally about an hour to 2 hours. Then there might be an afternoon session from 3 to 5, and then Sundays we have training at 7. Yeah, it conflicts a lot because they all want to get together and have dinner, but obviously I can't because I start training at 6:30. So I have to be at training by 6. So, you know, it's almost like I can have lunch with them, but you know, around lunchtime is when I finish my classes, and then there's an hour space between when 3 of them start their classes. So we can like quickly grab lunch, and then we just like hang out online at night after, like, you know, everyone's finished their dinner, training, and my training showers and stuff. Yeah. Like scheduling is really, really hard if you're not all in the same like major and stuff like that.
Yeah, you have to like find a time and everything.
Yeah.
If you meet people that are like all stressed out and have anxiety, then you also have anxiety and feel stressed out.
Yeah, definitely.
We had so much fun recording this video, so if you liked it, give this video a thumbs up. If you want to see more content about studying abroad, life abroad, traveling, and lifestyle, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you will be notified every time that I upload a video. If you want us to record more videos together, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to Angie Social if you want to see more content like this one. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask us. You can contact us on Instagram, Facebook. I'll leave the links down below of all of our social media. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Thatsmoni. I don't really use that much Twitter, so just so you know, if I never post anything on Twitter, I rarely post anything there. I really don't know what to post there. What do people post on Twitter? I mean, I don't know. I'll leave you the link down below to the second part of this video so you can go and check it out. That's all for today, guys. Thank you a lot, guys, for watching till the end of this video.